it's just more challenging than ever to know what to allocate your budget to get the best return. So that's precisely also why we have partnered with Google for this particular webinar. And together, our aim is to provide you with a clear and actionable sort of roadmap insights to help you build a powerful and efficient strategy for your 2026 budget. So with that, let's look at the agenda for today. We have a lot to cover. We'll start with consumer trends shared by Google themselves. Then we'll cover an imperative every hotelier like yourself must face. Then we'll dive right into the marketing funnel to understand where to spend, what are the options, so on and so forth, and also how we are leveraging AI and other advanced technologies through our partnership with Google to capture the modern consumer. Finally, we'll also take a look at the often overlooked travel agent strategy and end with some final thoughts to make your 2026 a success. Now, to get us started on that foundational first topic of consumer trends, it is my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker. Khan Yusul from Google is here to share some fascinating data and insights into the mindset of today's traveler. He'll be laying down the groundwork for everything we discussed today by showing us what's currently shaping booking decisions across the globe. Khan, thank you for being with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Daria. Let me just share my screen so we can get the slides up for everyone. Okay, a big hello and a big welcome to everyone once again. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. As Daria already mentioned, we have some fantastic content lined up for you that we're really excited to take you through. So first of all, I'm going to be walking you through some high-level consumer trends that we've been seeing over the last couple of years. We're not going to deep dive into market-specific insights in today's session because, of course, so many of you are joining from different markets. We probably wouldn't have the time to get into all of them. But of course, if that is something you're interested in finding out for your specific market, please don't hesitate to reach out to your hospitality solutions representative after this webinar. And so with that, the two major consumer trends that I'm going to be taking you all through today is number one, that users are spending more time researching than ever before. And secondly, Google AI is profoundly changing the user search experience, which actually ties in nicely with that changes that users' search behavior is seeing itself. So naturally, ever since the pandemic, we have seen that users care more about experiences than ever before. And I think that makes sense. You know, during that 2-year period, we all lost something that we care about, which is our traveling, as well as the activities that we are able to do out and about, or even while on our travel. And we're actually seeing how users are valuing this more in their search behavior. So an example of this is restaurants near me as a query is usually a query that, of course, sees high volumes of searches every year, and it grows at about a double-digit growth rate. However, in the last year, the query nice aesthetic restaurants near me has actually been growing at a 300% year-over-year growth rate, which means that when users are making a decision, it has to be the perfect one for them. And the good news is, it's not only in user search behavior that we're seeing these changes take place. We're seeing these searches actually starting to translate into purchases as well. So we do these surveys on an ongoing basis. What I have on my screen right now is, of course, for the US, but we do them for every country, like I mentioned, and the stats hold true. The trends are the same. The three things that users are not willing to give up on when it comes to their spending priorities is leisure activities such as eating at restaurants, going traveling, and of course, doing things while they're on that travel. But to make sure that that experience that they end up booking is the perfect one for them, they're spending more time researching than ever before. And right now, on average, we see that each user spends 303 minutes on research 45 days before making a booking. Now, I want to say that stat once again. 5 hours of research, 45 days before a booking is made. So not before the trip begins, but before they actually spend on their credit card. And what this means, however, the good silver lining that we have here, though, is that consumers are open to more brand options than they used to be before. Interestingly, also, this is reflective in their booking behavior, as I was slightly hinting at. While, once again, what you see on your screen is for the US, we are seeing this hold true for most countries out there. But the most expensive bucket is actually the one that's seeing the largest growth year over year. So the $300 plus ADR hotels are the one that are growing faster in terms of what users are searching for right now, which just goes back to the point that when users are making that decision, because they maybe have less discretionary spending to make that decision, they want to make sure that the trip that they book is the perfect one. So maybe they're not taking more trips, they might be taking less trips. However, they want to make sure that the trip that they take is the perfect one, and they're willing to spend money to do that. Now, what does this mean for the funnel? Because if they're now spending more time researching than ever before, how does this actually impact and translate into the strategies that you have for your marketing experience? And well, the headline here is that the traditional funnel is dead in terms of how we used to know it. You can see that users bounce around from research and discovery to information finding before making a booking all the time through all of these different research and channels that they can use to do that research. We are seeing that 52% of consumers are actually bouncing, like visiting more websites before making a decision. And very interestingly, it's actually Gen Z that are driving a lot of this big behavior change as well. And we see that 75% of Gen Zers are actually interacting with inspiring travel content on most days. But at the same time, users say that they want AI to help them in all of this trip planning experience. As you saw in a few slides ago, people say that it's harder to find information or to find information to make that right decision than ever before. And AI can actually help us massively in this space by simplifying that process for all of us all here that are, of course, trying to win more bookings and drive more consumers to our properties. And as I'm sure most of you have heard by now, we at Google take this very seriously. We get over 5 trillion searches per year, which is a stat that we actually just released very recently. And we truly believe to help simplify these research journeys, AI has to play a profound role in making that happen, which brings me on to the second consumer trend that I wanted to, of course, bring you through, which is Google AI is profoundly changing the search landscape. And if you think about this from your own experience, previously, you had to do what we call speaking a certain language of keyword ease, if you will, which is if you wanted to search something really long and complex, you probably had to break it down into 3 or 4 separate unique searches. However, with AI, we're actually now able to answer those questions better than ever before. And this is actually leading to users asking longer and much more nuanced questions than ever before. At the same time, AI is actually introducing new ways for users to be able to search on Google. We're going to touch on this in a little bit more detail in a later section, but one example of this is the use of Lens. I'm not sure if any of you have experience searching with Lens yet. If not, I would be surprised to hear that, but I would also highly encourage you try this out. Take a picture of something, maybe a tree when you're walking out, and ask Google what type of tree this is, and it will give you an answer straight away. As a matter of fact, this way of searching is proving to be so successful. We see that users are using Lens more than 25 billion times per month. That's billion with a B. And incredibly, 1 in 5 visual searches actually has a commercial intent behind it. So if you're not keeping up with these trends, if you're not providing visual content, which we're going to talk about again in a bit more detail later on, you are missing out on the opportunity, of course, to show up for these types of searches. And users love the answers and the results that they're getting with these new AI features. Funny enough, we see that even though users don't have to search as many times to get answers to their queries, they're actually searching more than they've ever searched before. And as I've already mentioned, they're searching longer queries than they were ever able to before as well. And of course, Google is here for every step of the funnel, and users say that they rely on our products to make decisions every single day. Now, while I said the traditional funnel is dead, and that is, of course, absolutely true, with the use of AI, we can still help you connect the dots across that user research journey, however users may be doing that. And so with that, I'll actually hand it over to Kay. Thank you for listening. I'm going to be presenting a little bit more later on.
Thank you, Khan, for the great insights. Let me just share my screen for a moment. Okay, so as you can see, the market is changing fast, and the fundamental challenge we all face is moving from simply reacting to the market to actually proactively defining our competitive position. And this brings us directly to that hotelier's imperative. When we talk to hoteliers like yourselves, your goal boils down to 4 critical areas. First, you need to attract new customers to ensure a steady pipeline of growth. Second, and the most critical, is to drive profitability and revenue. And that means strong, sustainable growth that improves your bottom line. And third, you must enhance brand awareness. So in a crowded digital world, standing out requires a recognizable brand and appealing brand. And finally, you must retain the right audience. So to maximize your guest lifetime value, increasing those profitable direct bookings, and turn loyal guests into advocates through reviews and referrals for the future. So why is this imperative so urgent? Because competition has deep pockets. As you can see on the screen, we have a big number there. In 2024 alone, the top 4 online travel agencies, or OTAs, poured $17.8 billion USD into marketing. To put that into perspective, if you divide that spend by every single hotel and resort on Earth, it's still about $2,000 per property per month. That's allocated simply to ensure that customers always book through them and not through you directly. So the question isn't, can you compete? The question is, can you afford not to compete, right? We believe you can, and it requires a specialized approach. So let's dive into a bit of that. This OTA's dominance creates a host of challenges for your business. You face profit erosion due to soaring commissions and the commoditization of your hotel, where you're seen as an interchangeable product. And perhaps the biggest long-term threat, a total loss of customer ownership, right? When you lose that direct relationship, you lose the ability to drive loyalty and advocacy. And our job here is to help you overcome those challenges and reclaim control of your customer and your profit margin. So to address these challenges, we need a clear roadmap of where the customer is and how we can effectively intercept them at every stage of the journey. So let's dive into the marketing funnel. So when we map that traveler's journey, we see 4 critical stages where investment pays off and the traveler's needs change dramatically. So it starts with the awareness phase, where the potential guest is simply beginning their search. So here they're maybe just dreaming, thinking about a destination. Next is influence, where our primary goal is to influence their decision as they plan their trip. So they've already set their mind on a location, maybe down to a city, and they're starting to compare destination and properties. And then comes the conversion stage, which is crucial. And this is when guests are ready to make a booking, comparing rates and deciding on which site to book on. So at this point, they will already know your brand name. And this is where we need to pull them back to your direct channel and acquire that purchase directly. So we use sophisticated dual approach here to capture both the direct consumer and the high value travel agent segment. Let's dive into that digital side first. So our powerful digital marketing campaigns target the direct consumer across all 4 funnel stages. If you see everything highlighted in green, those are the ones that we'll talk about. So for awareness, we use high reach platforms like social media, display media, YouTube, PMTG, demand gen, showcasing your hotel visually. So these use more images and video to travelers who are just starting to dream about their trip. In the influence stage, we intercept active searchers with AI-powered campaigns like Performance Max for travel goals, which we also call for short PMTG, and targeted non-brand paid search. So that's where we'd use more generic type of keywords like hotels in XYZ city or destination or district of the city. And this captures travelers looking for a hotel like yours, even if they don't know the brand name just yet. And when they move to conversion, we intensify our efforts using PMTG again, alongside brand paid search, meta search campaigns to ensure your hotel stays top of mind at the purchase stage, which is that hyper profitable final moment where bookings are about to take place. The second critical component of the funnel is the travel agent channel. So powered by GDS Media, this ensures we're capturing the high value corporate and luxury travelers who book through an agent. For awareness, we use the new hotel program to introduce your property to agents as top option right for the start. And then we use sign-in messages to capture the agent's attention the moment that they log into the reservation system. And to drive influence and conversions, we leverage precision tools like sponsored property to ensure hotel is prioritized and highly visible in the agent search results list. And then finally, at that point of purchase, the high impact promo spots provide eye-catching ads right on the agent's final trip summary screen. So guaranteeing your property is top of mind as they finalize that booking. To run these complex multi-channel strategies effectively, you can't just rely on manual processes. You need a team of experts and the best technology available, which is why we've placed our powerful partnership at the core of our offering. So let's talk about our Google partnership. The strength of Hospitality Solutions is in our deep, dedicated partnership with Google. This isn't just a standard agency relationship, it's a real partnership where we meet with our Google team multiple times each week to discuss all products we work on, address challenges, and look for new opportunities to explore. We're on first name basis. They're sort of as our extension of our own team when we meet. So it's a really great relationship that we leverage for our customers, the end customer. We have direct support and priority access, meaning our campaigns are always running on the latest and greatest that Google has to offer. We gain exclusive resources like early access to alpha and beta versions of Google's upcoming product solutions, allowing us to be the first to test out any new types of campaigns for our customers. And we combine Hospitality Solutions travel intelligence with Google's cutting-edge AI technology to literally co-create the future of travel strategy. And ultimately, this allows us to maximize your return on investment by constantly being ahead of the curve. So now I'll let Khan share more about our partnership, importance of direct bookings, new features, and AI. Over to you, Khan.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kay. And if I could just add on to the points you mentioned in our partnership, Hospitality Solutions is a part of our partnership program and is, of course, treated as one of our enterprise customers. And off the back of that relationship, there's all the features and benefits that Kay mentioned. But Hospitality Solutions also happens to be one of our largest cloud partners globally. And therefore, that means that the AI solutions that I'm about to present to you, the best way that you could be making sure that you're making the most of them is, of course, through partnering with Hospitality Solutions directly. But with that, let me take over the screen share again. And there's three main things, of course, that I really want to speak to you about in this section now. The first of that is going to be the value of direct bookings. The second is going to be how our Google solutions fit across the funnel. And the third is, of course, Google Travel AI, both in a search context, but also from a advertising solutions context. So starting off on the value of direct bookings, let's start by talking a little bit about meta search. So when it comes to meta search, and of course, direct bookings through meta search, we really say that there's 3 core value propositions. And I'm going to dive into each of these 3 things in a little bit more detail. The first of these is that meta search users are bookers and not lookers. Meta search is the lowest funnel product across the Google suite of advertising products, and therefore the returns and the performance you get overall from this tends to be very high, which is why we say it's for bookers and not lookers. Secondly, meta search allows you to own your own audience. And of course, in today's developing privacy landscape, this is more important than ever before. And then lastly, it allows you to keep your customer instead of gifting the competition. And we're going to see this in example in just a minute. So let's start off by talking about why it's for bookers and not lookers. So what I mentioned about the low funnel product. In this scenario, I'm going to show you 3 different videos on the user search experience and what it looks like and at what stage the meta search auction shows up and where you actually pay for a click. The first search I'm doing here is for hotels in London. So a mid-funnel generic query. You can see when I search this, I see search ads as they regularly appear. I see what we call the hotels immersive. I have to click on view more hotels. And once I'm looking at more hotels, it's only here when I actually pick the property that I'm interested in, I start seeing the meta search auction. So you can see it took 1 search and 2 clicks to get to the meta search auction. So we're actually qualifying the user first before we charge you for anything. My second query here is going to be searching for Hilton London, slightly lower in the funnel, but not quite the lowest part of the funnel yet. Here, once again, I see my search ads and what we call the hotels immersive with all of the different Hilton properties in London. And only once again, when I select the Hilton that I'm interested in, will we see the meta search auction there too. It's only in the case of this third and final search where the user will see the meta search auction and your listing appear straight away for the first time. And that is for the lowest funnel query metric that we can do, which is a brand query. And in this situation, it's going to be Hilton London Tower Bridge. And you can see this search triggers the Google business profile of this listing. And straight away in there, you can see the listing of Hilton as well as the other providers for that room. So meta search allows you to capture bookers, not lookers. Secondly, as I mentioned, owning your audiences is more important than ever before. Laws in EMEA, such as GDPR, as well as the CCP in the US, as well as lots of different variances of the similar laws across the APAC region, now means how we collect and use data is completely different. So that means if you're not appearing for meta search and capturing users through that, you're actually not able to retarget or use any of that information further to power additional campaigns. Secondly, certain browser types are not even using third-party cookies anymore, so you can't get the benefit of that as a result. And lastly, users care about their privacy more than ever before. Think about how every time you visit a website, it asks you, do you consent to cookies being tracked and things like that? And so without investing in a first-party data strategy through the use of meta search, as well as other solutions, you are not setting yourself up for a successful future. As a matter of fact, you are falling behind. And then lastly, meta search allows you to keep your customer. And you can see in this example, we have selected the Hilton London Metropole. And the first listing, which is for Hilton, when you click on that, you can see everything there is to try and make me convert for this Hilton property. However, if I click on a third party's listing for that same property, the property only appears at the very top of the search, but the user is incentivized to continue their search and potentially book somewhere else. And in this situation, by allowing third parties onto your meta search booking or by not showing up yourself, you're actually gifting your competition. So then we can summarize this by saying that, of course, the value of direct allows you to drive better performance. You're going to be growing your own brand rather than paying to grow a third party's brand by giving them your inventory and then, of course, paying high commissions. And then lastly, you get the first party data. The reason I say the first point on better performance, while I'm going to show you again a couple of different user search experiences on this, is because in general, direct bookings are a lot cheaper than what you are paying to third parties. There are many different reasons for this, but most importantly, across Google, we have a couple of different mechanisms in place to make sure that specific searches for your brand are the highest quality result that a user is going to be able to get. And as a result of that, you shouldn't have to pay as much. Other brands should have to pay more to show up there. And that lowers your overall cost of investment too. But like I said, let's take a look at a couple of different examples here once again. In this video, I'm going to show you a property which does not invest in direct bookings for itself whatsoever. It's a property in Ireland, which is actually where I'm based. It's called the Ballindrum Farm B&B. And straight away, you can see the ad is not by the property. The meta search auction, they're not showing up. Yes, they appear for the organic listing once, but apart from that, the entire rest of the search results page is for third parties, whether it's meta search channels or other OTAs. So when you're not showing up enough yourself, you're of course losing out on the chance of generating that booking directly. And so this is a big call to action for you all, that we need to start thinking about how do we reduce our reliance and improve our direct strategy. And in comparison to the experience you just saw, let me show you a best-in-class example from a chain of hotels in the UK and what this search experience looks like for them. When you search for this brand, when you're in London, you can see here the search results page is dominated with their name across the immersive, across ads, across organic listings. Users cannot go anywhere else to make this booking. And this has profound impacts for long-term strategy and profitability for this hotel chain. And of course, while we know there isn't a perfect solution here, or that means not partnering with third parties completely, I think there needs to be a shift in the distribution. And you've just seen how that impacts a user's search and where they might end up yourselves. We also see that actually, as I've already mentioned, we've done some research, and the average commission paid to third-party OTAs versus the average cost to generate, or the average investment required to generate a direct booking, is about half. So if that means you were generating 1 million worth of bookings and you were getting that through OTAs or third parties, you're only making 800K. However, if you do that direct, you are making an additional 100K, which is not a small amount to be scoffed at all. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about this new marketing funnel. As I already mentioned, users rely on Google from discovery to decision at every single step of the journey. And this includes Google search, but as well as YouTube. And they do that, they rely on us more than any other platform out there. And we, of course, to help you get in front of users to deliver the right message at the right time, have solutions in place which you can all take advantage of today. So when we simplify this new reality of the funnel, you can start looking down. And of course, for the mid-funnel, we have our solutions such as generic search campaigns or travel promotion ads. At the bottom of the funnel, we have Google hotel ads and branded search. And in working across the funnel, and I'm going to dive into these specific products in a little bit more detail in just a second, they're AI powered and they're known as demand gen and PMTG, which I believe a lot of you may have heard, and Kay already mentioned PMTG to you already. So with that, let's start talking about Google Travel AI specifically, because I know one of the biggest things, one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I tend to hear is, while of course all of this AI hype is great, what does this mean for my industry and how is this going to impact me? And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about in this section. So you already heard that AI is supercharging search and it's profoundly changing the way users are searching. And so one example of this is, well, actually, we have already been for quite a few years now using AI to organize the travel search experience. And while I won't ask you to do this now, the next time you're sitting around with some friends in the office, I ask you to make the same search for like a generic query, hotels in whatever city you're based in. And as you're scrolling through the page, I promise all of you will get the answers or the listings in a different order. And that's because we're using so many different signals to try and tailor that approach to what you're most interested in. And of course, all of that's powered by AI. The second part of this, of course, and these are all organic experiences, just to highlight, we'll get on to the ads experiences in just a minute. But the second way that, of course, AI is changing how users are searching is through the introduction of AI overviews directly on the search results page. I believe many of you should have seen this by now. And it's a great way to find answers to really complex queries without needing to go and search from a lot of different websites. And then lastly is the introduction of AI mode, which is a slightly different tab within the Google search experience. And this allows you to have a back and forth conversation with AI, of course, if you are trying to do something a little bit more complex than a single search, such as planning a trip and asking for advice and things like that. And I think the best way to think about these things is, while, of course, the overall volume of traffic might be shifting in how it's appearing, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Similar to the Google Hotel Ads experience, the traffic that's coming to you is going to be much more qualified. So they're not just clicking on your ads or your organic listings to have a high bounce rate after looking for the answer for something. So when they come, they're more prepared to book. And that's the way I would challenge you all to think about that today. And of course, we look at this as just the beginning. So let me tell you an example of why we say that. So as you've heard many, many times, user searches are getting more complex. But if we take an example query of, I'm looking for hotels in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with nice pools, I'm considering these different hotels. Well, for us as Google to be able to answer this query, we need so much different information to be able to provide the answer in one search, such as the hotel pricing and availability that Hospitality Solutions provides via their feed, photos from your business profile listing, as well as the amenities and features that that property offers. We would need to crawl your site to find out all of the small details, such as your check-in and checkout times. And we would need to be able to organize this information in a simple way to be able to answer that user's query. And once again, to highlight the importance and just the sophistication of our partnership with Hospitality Solutions team, as one of our largest cloud partners and one of the largest booking engine and just tech providers in the travel industry, they are very closely working with us to provide this information. And that's how we're going to be able to help answer user searches better than ever before. So once again, a big shout out to them, and a good consideration for you to all consider working with them if you aren't already. So there's three things then that AI is doing overall, or that three things that you can do to help improve the AI search experiences for users. The first thing there is, of course, focus on providing unique and valuable content. A lot of you may have been hearing that, of course, the days of SEO are back, and dare I say it, content is king once again. The way we get access to your information has not changed. We still have to crawl your site. So if you are not set up, as you can see in point 2, if you're not set up to give that information to Google in a simple way, whether it's through technical SEO or how you're just structuring your site and the information on it, we're going to struggle, of course, to showcase that to users. And that brings me back to the third and final point. Instead of just focusing on the clicks to your site, focus on the value of those clicks that are converting, because you should be seeing an overall increase in value, even if the clicks metric is changing there ever so slightly. And of course, the best way to differentiate yourself is through your content. I keep coming back to this one stat of this: the way users are searching is getting more complex. But in the past, users were only able to search a query such as hotels in London. But now we're able to answer the query, show me hotels in San Diego for a family of 4 with a view of the pool that also has 24-hour laundry available. And we can only get that information by accessing your content. So make sure you have standalone landing pages with FAQs and all of the cool things that your property offers, those images, showcase them in high quality images so we can get that across to users no matter what way or modality they're using to search. The last thing that I want to jump into is, of course, the ads solutions as well, because ads are always a great way to show up and gain some extra traffic in these new ways. And we're, of course, infusing AI across all of our solutions to help you with that. But the simplest way to think about it before we go into the AI-powered solutions specifically is your direct channel power pack. You all here are properties, hotel advertisers that have feeds or should have feeds in place. And so you can actually combine these feeds with your AI powered campaigns, as well as obviously adding in meta search into the mix to drive even better performance for your marketing strategy today. So let's take a look at AI powered campaigns now. We have in Google 3 different or main AI powered campaign formats that we regularly refer to. The first of these, which is also the newest that I'm going to jump in, we're going to go into each one of these in more detail, but the first of these is AI Max for search campaigns, which is essentially inserting AI into your search campaigns to show up for different modalities of searching, as well as to show up for more complex queries that you probably aren't already targeting today. Secondly, a full funnel solution, of course, PMax, which has been AI powered since the day it came out. And then third and lastly, demand gen, a campaign type that is powered by AI to specifically help you with more upper funnel traffic so that you're never running out of users to convert as they come to mid and lower funnel. Okay, let's take a look at let's take a look at AI Max for search campaigns. So AI Max operates really in 3 different ways. The first thing is the reach that it brings for you. So imagine, and I'm going to show you a video of this. Imagine you are watching a video on YouTube. And as you're watching the video, you search for the top things to do in London before you plan your trip for there. I'm sorry, it's a little bit small, but of course you can check this all out once we send the deck around after today's session. But I decide I want to look at some shorts to see the top 10 things to do in London. And as the list is going through, I see all the different attractions and I see one thing that I really like, which is Tower Bridge. So I take a screenshot and I use circle to search and I say, show me budget hotels with a view of this. Now, this is the really important part. Budget hotels with a view of this, including an image. Your campaigns today, I guarantee none of them have the keyword that includes in any type, shape, or form the word this in there. And AI Max allows you to start showing up for these types of visual queries as well as some of the other things. So by turning it on, you're setting yourself up for the future to make sure that no matter how user search behavior changes and the modalities they use to change it, you will be able to show up. There are 2 other elements of AI Max, which is automatically created assets. So we will manipulate your ad to make sure it's showing up with as great of a relevance as possible. And then lastly, we'll try and land the user to the most relevant page on your site to increase the likelihood of converting by as much as possible as well. The second feature I want to dive a little bit deeper into is Performance Max, or PMTG, as you all should be using in the room today. And PMTG is a really fantastic full funnel solution where you just put in your inputs, such as your business goals, your brand identity, how much budget you have, where do you want to show up. The Performance Max campaign type, or PMTG, adds the complexity by automating all of that, and it allows you to reach your full ads potential without even needing to worry about it. And of course, I hope as many of you should know by now, one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we were hearing since we released PMax or PMTG was that there was no insight into the channel level reporting. Well, I'm very glad to announce a little earlier this year, we listened to your feedback and we're actually now showing that to you as well. So if you are interested in finding out a little bit more, don't hesitate to reach out to your representative. And then the last thing I'll leave you all with today before handing it over is our demand gen campaigns. Once again, demand gen is an AI powered campaign that mostly shows up across 3 formats, which is YouTube, and it shows up across YouTube Shorts, in-stream ads, as well as YouTube feeds. It shows up on the Discover feed for those of you that have the Google app on iPhone, or just scroll over to the left on your Android phone. And then lastly, of course, is Gmail. And through this, you can make sure that you continue to bring users into the top of the funnel. And then through AI Max for search, with PMax or PMTG and your meta search campaigns, continue driving long-term results in this AI-driven world. So with that, thank you all so much for listening and engaging today. And I'll hand it over to Tim.
Hi, everyone. Now with the direct channel, is key to profitability, let's focus on another high focus agent audience, which is the GDS travel agent. So I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about that. We all know that the GDS travel agent is sort of the higher ADR, longer length of stay, booked further in advance, which is great for profitability. So when we talk about travel agents, I think it's really important to remember that we're talking about partners, not competitors. Travel agents work with you to match travelers to your property, often recommending hotels based on trust, experience, and client needs. They're invested in your success because it reflects on their own success. Compare that to OTAs. While they help drive bookings, they also compete directly with your brand. They prioritize their own margins, control their own customer relationship, and often undercut your direct channel. So every booking through an OTA is one less opportunity to build customer loyalty and maximize your profitability. Investing in travel agent visibility is like investing in your very own high-performing sales team, one that works for you and not against you. Let's take a look at travel agents actually see when they search in the GDS. The GDS is a website that is purpose-built for travel professionals, not consumers. Agents use the system to search, compare, and book hotels efficiently. They see this hotel search lists, they see a map view, and they see detailed property information, all designed to help make them fast, informed recommendations. Think of it as Google for travel agents, but with a sharper focus on ready-made decisions. If your hotel isn't showing up prominently here, you're missing out on high-value bookings from agents who are actively selling travel every single day. The GDSs offer the GDSs offer paid placements to help your property stand out. These placements are collectively called the GDS media. They're designed specifically to boost visibility and influence travel decisions at the point of sale. The two primary types of ad placements for GDS media are sponsored property and promo spots. With the sponsored property listings, it ensures that your hotel rises to the top in agents' results lists so that they're buying preferred placement and you're just buying your way sort of to the top of that list in those top spots. Promo spots gives you high impact, visible branding on agents' trip summary screens. This is about influencing the agent at the critical point of sale, ensuring they recommend your hotel first. It's very likely that your competitors are already spending their marketing dollars in GDS media. So if you're not, you're really missing out on those key bookings that come very easily for you. Promo spots are more than just banner ads. They're a gateway to professionally designed landing page that showcases your hotel in compelling customer-friendly formats. When an agent clicks your promo spot, they're taken to a customer-built page featuring your hotel's logo, images, and offer details. You get to choose from a high range of high-impact layouts that reflect modern design and highlight your hotel's property and strengths. Our team handles this build for you, ensuring the landing page is optimized for travel agent engagement. And most importantly, there's a Book Now button that puts the agent directly into the sale, making it easy to convert interest into realized bookings. This is how we turn visibility into action, ensure that your hotel stands out at the moment that it matters most. And now with that, I'll turn things back over to Dee to wrap us up. Dee?
Perfect. Thank you for those insights, Tim. So as we move into our final section for the day, I want to bring everything that we have discussed so far together with some practical examples and also actionable takeaways for you to build your 2026 budget, right? So first, let's start by looking at a real world example. This is the Empire Hotel in New York, a client of ours, and this is basically an example of how multi-channel strategy can deliver outstanding results even in a very tough market. So this is, by the way, based in real data, real performance that we have seen with them, and we've worked with them to obviously get this far. So the Empire Hotel in New York City was facing like a significant challenge, a decline in international visitors, a downgraded tourism forecast, and in a slowing market, they essentially needed some proactive strategy to not just obviously try and increase the performance, but it was just even just to maintain their current level of performance, right? Because the forecast was quite dim. So what did they do? They adopted a proactive four-part strategy to engage both direct consumers and travel agents. First, they maintained a strong meta search presence, as we've heard from Khan, to capture high intent travelers. Next, they also utilized Google's PMTG to convert new domestic and business leisure travelers. We can also call them bleisure travelers. It's a new term that's evolving. Crucially, they engage the travel agency audience as well, using GDS Media's power of promo spots and also sponsored property ads, like Tim mentioned. And finally, they build relationships with elite travel networks through a premium consortia services package to unlock high value bookings. This is another one of our offerings. And as a combination, all of these essentially solutions work in cohesion to deliver the results that you see here before you. And they speak for themselves. Despite market headwinds, this proactive strategy actually delivered incredible growth for them. Their direct to consumer marketing, they saw a 41% increase in year over year performance in revenue, a 12% increase in bookings overall. And as for their travel agency reach, they achieved a remarkable 62 to 1 return on investment on GDS Media. That's obviously phenomenal. I don't have to tell you that. And a 16 to 1 ROI also on their consortia program. And as you can see, I mean, summarizing all of this, right, the relationship that we have with them, you can see the quote in front of you, which highlights that the consistency of the partnership essentially allowed them to focus on a lot of the big picture stuff, brand growth, market positioning. Obviously, all of that also helps. And this is like sort of the perfect illustration of what we're trying to drive with this webinar, which is mastering the mix of how to allocate budgets to get the maximized returns. With that, we'll essentially move forward to the next slide, which is suggested budget distribution mix. Now, so how does all of this that we have learned so far today translate into a budget for your hotel? Now, this slide provides a recommended distribution mix across the funnel. While I also want to emphasize a key point here, the mix that we are showing here is designed to just provide a basic foundation and a starting point for 2026 planning. We want to be very clear that this is the ideal budget distribution that we see in general, but the one that will be for your property, for your hotel, may be very specific and dynamic. It needs to be tailored to your unique needs, your markets, your competition landscape, so on and so forth, right? So with that context in mind, let's look at this model to just understand like basic principles of it, right? For the awareness stage, where the guests begin their research, we suggest allocating around 15% of your budget. For the influence stage, as guests are continuing their research and narrowing down their options, we recommend about 20%. The largest portion of your budget, 40%, is what we have put here, should be focused on the conversion stage. This is where the guest is ready to book, and you just need to be present at the point of sale to capture that revenue. Now you will notice that all of this does not add up to like 100% and just adds up to 75%. We strongly recommend that you reserve at least 10 to 15% of your budget as flexible fund. This is absolutely critical in today's day and age to stay agile, right? There's always new ad formats that you may need to test out, pursue emerging opportunities as they arise throughout the year, basically perfectly aligning the need for that dynamic hotel specific strategy that we have just been discussing. So yeah, with that, to help you put all of this into practice, we have essentially developed this, you can say, a checklist for a profitable 2026. I encourage you to view this more than just a list. Like think of it as a consultative tool that you can use to self-assess your current strategy. Look at all the different components and ask yourself, can I confidently tick all these boxes for my property? If you find that there are boxes that you cannot tick, that's not cause for concern. It's just an opportunity where you may have a gap in your strategy, and any gap can mean that you might be leaving money on the table. So if you've identified some potential gaps, and or if you're not sure if your current strategy is not fully optimized, for your specific needs. We want to help you evaluate that. So if that's the case, please reach out to your hospitality solutions point of contact. Alternatively, my colleague is now posting a link to a form in the chat. If you fill that out, we will have the right expert from our team connect to you for a complimentary discussion about your strategy and identify where the gaps are. Ultimately, this checklist is purely indicative and it's just a start to a very important conversation that you may need to have, and we look forward to having it with you. And that brings us, by the way, to the end of this presentation. I hope you found these insights today valuable as you begin your budgeting journey. I'd like to extend a huge thank you to our speakers today, Khan, Kay, and Tim, for their invaluable expertise, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care, everyone.